We are here with Jake Edenfield with Profound Home Inspections. Jake, go ahead and take it away. Tell us who you are, what you do, and what does the day in the life look like?
Man, okay. Thanks for allowing me to do this with you, Mr. Hall. My name
Absolutely.
is Jake Edenfield. I own and operate Profound Home Inspections here in Wichita, Kansas. Um, I've been doing this for 3 years, just right at about 3 years. I got in the business, kind of wanted a profound purpose in life. My wife is in the industry, and you know, when I saw her helping clients out with finding a new home or moving into a new home, it just gave me a warm feeling inside. And I thought, how can I help with this? What can I do? And home inspection came to mind, and I dove straight in. And I used to be in the foundation business. I worked for a company that's based their home base is out in Nebraska, but they had an office here, and so I got to learn a little bit about foundations with my years of tenure there, and enjoyed helping people with probably their biggest investment that they'll ever have.
Yeah. So you had mentioned that your wife is a real estate agent also.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
do you guys get to pass clients back and forth, or how does that work for you guys?
You know, um, I go by the standards of practice of InterNACHI and ASHI. I usually follow InterNACHI, meaning that they look at things a little bit different, and I wondered about that when I started. I didn't get started with this to do her home inspections, if you will. That wasn't my main thing. I have done some from her, but she makes her clients sign a disclaimer stating that they know that I will have financial benefit from the sale of a house. With
Yeah.
that being said, I don't treat any inspection any different. I mean, I do them the same no matter who the realtor is. And you know this more than anybody, but the client hires me and pays me, so they are my client. I work directly for them.
So what is you had mentioned InterNACHI
Yes, sir.
and ASHI. What does that mean? What's that?
There's quite a few, maybe another handful of. Let me back up. In Kansas, there is no licensing for home inspectors. Anybody can go out, including you, Mr. Hall, tomorrow, get a flashlight and get paid to do a home inspection.
Hey, I've got a flashlight at home. I could do.
Then you could do it. Um, so in Kansas, I think it was 2008. There was some deals with one of our senators, I believe Brownback. I don't quote me on all this, but anyway, it fell through, and now a lot of people look for certificate. Who's he certified with? Who's she certified with? InterNACHI and ASHI are two of the top tier national societies that you can get certified in. Basically, in layman terms, you get with them, they make you take multiple tests until you pass. And then with ASHI, you have to go take a national exam, proctored, kind of like you guys do, a 200 question. You get 4 hours to take it. And that's the first chapter. After that, there's a lot more learning to it, but that gets your foot in the door to become certified home inspector.
Wow. Okay. So what? I guess whenever you go and take those classes, do
Mm-hmm.
they like take you out to a house and show you, hey, here's some rotten siding, here's what to look for, or whatever it may be. I got.
Some do. If you did an in-person training, some of them will. A lot of it is done online. I did mine through the ASHI online, and then I transferred over to InterNACHI, did theirs. I'm still certified in both, and I don't know why, but I choose to keep it. You have to take a minimum CEs every year to hold your certification. I think it's 20 hours per year. Um, but I mean, I have done other, I'm certified with EDI, which is Exterior Design Institute, and I went down to Texas, and they do that kind of thing. I mean, they teach you about here's what we need, and this is why we need it, and they'll show you exterior design. There's all kinds of certifications out there to kind of separate you from just a normal inspector, if you will.
Yeah. So you said that you have taken these courses,
Hmm.
and but here in Kansas, you don't have to be licensed or anything at all.
No, not at
These
all.
these courses essentially help you be better at your living.
Yes. Yeah. They teach you. I mean, we're not per se code inspectors. You know, when we do a home inspection, it's not all about code. But the thing that I like to preface this about that is if you don't know the code, then you don't know it's wrong.
Yeah,
The code is a minimum standard. I mean, if it doesn't meet this, it's wrong. So it's just a minimum standard. So we have to know the code to an extent, but we're not coded. I mean, we don't walk into a 1920s house and say, hey, this doesn't have a handrail here. Well, that probably wasn't required in 1920. So
right.
there's a few things we have to, if it's safety, we might mention it, but it's not a defect per se.
Gotcha. So what got you in? Well, you kind of hit on that, but what made you want to really dive into home inspections outside of obviously Samar being an agent as well, and wanting to help? Like, why home inspections? I mean, there's so many other different avenues in real estate that people could choose, and you chose one of the most pivotal and pertinent aspects of real estate. So why home inspections?
When I learned that you didn't have to be licensed in Kansas, it kind of, it kind of triggered something in me. It was just like, well, don't take this the wrong way, but Chuck in a truck can come out and look at your home and pass it per se,
Yeah,
and everything's good. And speaking with my wife over the years, this is just like any profession, Larry. You've got your good people, any profession. You can be a printer, be a very, very good at what you do, or you can be very bad at what you do. And our industry as a whole, not just realtors, not home inspectors, not just, lenders, there's good and there's bad.
yeah,
And I wanted to be one of the good. I wanted to be more of a consultant, if you will, and help people with their biggest investment, like you. I mean, you're very good at what you do and you care. And you know as well as I do, there's quite a few that don't care. They just want that money. And I kind of wanted to try to set a little different example, if you will.
yeah. So what does a home inspection with you look like? Like, how do you get started with that? And if I was to go buy a house today, what do I need to do?
Well, if you want to schedule, I mean, you can call me. And one thing that I always, I tell clients call me all the time and they'll ask me a couple questions and they might call back, they might schedule. But one thing, I mean, going on back to this, because we're not a licensed state, there you have to do your own research. I mean, as a buyer of a new home, do your research. Call 3 or 4 of them. Ask them questions. Ask them who they're certified with, how long they've been doing it, what their process is. My process, my minimum time on site is 3 hours, and you know that. And I'm one of the slower guys. I give myself ample amount of time to not rush. I do 2 a day at most. I start off by doing the outside. I then do the roof. I do the garage. I do the attic. I go inside and I finish in the basement. Report is sent to you same day within 24 hours. I mean, usually it's the same day, but there have been times the next morning. Um, we do we do radon testing. We do sewer scopes. We do air quality testing. Certified in stucco and EIFS examinations. So there's more than just a home inspection, but it's very, very pertinent that anybody call and just talk to the inspector, ask these questions, and it gives you a good idea of their level of thoroughness and their detail and what they're going to do for you on your biggest investment.
Yeah. So whenever you get a call from somebody and they say, "Hey, Jake, I'm buying this house, and I'm just not too sure about it. I saw this whenever we were walking through it. Um, could I hire you to come over and just kind of tell me if this looks okay or not? Do you have to do a full home inspection, or are you open to just taking a couple phone calls, or I guess what is your preferred method of doing a home inspection?
I mean, I think a full home inspection before you purchase is the way to go. The reason I say that is, there's a report, and if something was to, if an inspector was to miss something, a lot of what you're talking about is like a single component inspection. And I've done it. People have called me and said, "Hey, I want you to look at my deck. I moved in a year ago, and I don't feel it's right." And I'll go out and help them. But before you purchase a home, I feel a detailed full inspection is the best way to go. One, the money, let's for me, and I'm speaking for myself now, but if you hire me to come look at just the HVAC, it's to me, why don't you just hire an HVAC contractor to come out and do that? They're the specialist, because I'm a generalist, and if I see something wrong and you paid me 150 to come do that, that's money that you could have gave the HVAC guy for his service call, and they can come out and tell you exactly what needs to be fixed. So I feel I'm always about the client, financially. And I've told that many times and turned down business and said, just call an HVAC contractor and they'll do what I can, but they're even more detailed and more specific than I can be.
And, if you just call that specific person for just, one thing, they can actually fix it while they're there instead
Yeah.
of then, they call you and then they'll have to call that person anyway.
Yeah, and that's double the money. I mean, if I was 150, and I'm throwing a number out there, and then an HVAC contractor says, "Well, our service call is 150." Well, you're 300 in when you could have been 150 in. So it's just the way that I do things. I could do it, but I'm more honest and say just call this HVAC contractor.
Yeah. So, what would you say in your 3 years of doing this? What's one of the crazier things that you've seen out there in the field?
Hmm. You mean inspection wise, like something that like weird that I've seen, or?
Like, so the other day I saw you post that a house in the past had caught on fire or something like that, and
Yeah, yeah,
uh, it turns out that the house was actually built like 70 years ago, but
yeah,
it
yeah.
wasn't portrayed like that.
Yeah, that was a little different. A quick rundown is, somebody scheduled the inspection with me, and before any inspection, I always look at permits. The morning of, I just pull up the city and say, "Hey, what permits have been pulled for this structure?" Well, when they scheduled that one, it was just kind of weird because the city that it was located in, the area in the city, there hadn't been a whole lot of new builds going on. So it was 2008 is what it was listed at. It was listed like that online. But it just was, to me, was like, "Oh, that didn't seem right." So I emailed the city inspector where the house was located, and he got back with me and said, "No, we don't have any permits, and that house was probably built in the late 40s or 50s." And sure enough, when I got there, as soon as I pulled up, you could tell it wasn't a 2008 build. But the reason was, what I think had happened is it had some fire damage in the past, and I don't know when, but when I got into the attic, you could just tell it wasn't a new build, and there was charred framing members. And I just thought, that was a perfect, because when I got back and I called the buyer, didn't meet me there, and I called her and we had a conversation, and she was just dumb. She walked away from the home, unfortunately, but she was just dumbfounded how that could even be listed like that when it was 70 years prior to that. And she just was in awe. And so it's just a perfect example of, get a home, just have somebody come look at the house. I mean, it's worth the $500-600 to have somebody come out and look at the house and give you all that information before you sign that line of 250K.
So I know a lot of times with transactions, the lender like requires us to have a termite inspection and sometimes like a radon inspection. So do you do those, or how do you handle that?
No, I do not personally do termite inspections. I use a certified third party. They meet me. So if you got online and scheduled an inspection with Profound Home Inspections, at that point, the rest is up to me. Like, if you say I want termite and radon, I take care of it. So I get with the termite people and I say, "Hey, I use Heartland Pest Control. Shout out to Heartland, great at what they do." Um, they meet me on site the day of, and they're usually there about 30 minutes or so, and they send me the report. Same with radon. At this point in time, I do use a certified third company to do the radon testing. He'll drop the machine 48 hours before the home inspection. So that way, after it's said and done, I can give you all the reports that you need, have all the information that you need. But I try to make it as easy as possible for a client to where it's a one-stop shop, to where you make the call to me, well, let's schedule, the rest is on me, and we'll have everything that you need at the end.
Yeah. That ultimately just makes everybody's life easy, because I mean, then number one, we're not calling around, trying to get 4 or 5 different companies out there to do X, Y, and Z. And
well, you guys are so busy with appraisals, lenders. You have a lot on your plate. The potential client, the buyer, I mean, it's a stressful time. I mean, there's a lot going on. I mean, from don't spend this, you can't use this card. I mean, there's a lot to it. So we try to make it as easy as possible on all parties. We're here before the inspection. We're here after. I encourage calls. Like I said, to me, it's more of a consulting job than it is a home inspector job. It's, one thing that I try to tell clients all the time, and some inspectors are good at this and some aren't, but there's not one thing in a home inspection that can't be repaired. I mean, I've seen failing foundation walls that are 6 inches in. I've got to get them supported. I mean, it's all about what you're comfortable with as a buyer, because there's nothing that has to be fixed and there's nothing that can't be fixed. And I think homeowners got to understand that. It's just a matter of what they're comfortable with.
So, Jake, to wrap this up, how can we help support you? Like, what does your ideal client look like?
I love all clients up and down. Somebody that wants detail. I'm the detailed guy. I've got that on my shoulder. I hear that all the time. My reports are long, if you will. I take a ton of pictures, and it's just how I'm wired, Larry. It's just I go above and beyond. I talked about a standard of practice, and ASHI has one in InterNACHI, and I'll give you a good example. They say check a representative number of windows. What does that mean? Does that mean 4? Or does that mean, 14? I check them all, and this is my job. Same with receptacles. They say check a representative number. Well, if I can get to it, I'm going to test it, and I'm going to open every window. I'm going to open every door and walk the attic and walk the roof. And, anybody who wants to know the details of a home, call me. If you're just looking for, a fly by the pants type of inspector that's cheaper, go for it, because I am not the cheapest, but I am probably one of the more detailed.
Yeah. So how do we find you? Like
Google Profound Home Inspections. I'm on the internet. You can call me. My phone number is listed online if you wanted to Google Profound. Most people have access to Google these days from their phone or their computer. Yeah. But that's the easiest way to get to me. You can call me. If I don't answer, I will call you back same day. It's just I don't answer when I'm on an inspection, because I'm trying to give that home all my thoughts and ability, if you will.
Yep, that makes sense. I know you're very detailed, like you said, and in my opinion, one of the best out there. So.
Well, thank you. And back to you. Any agent. Gosh, I'm kind of jumping here, and don't take this the wrong way, but any agent, and now that I've been doing this 3 years, any agent that uses me consistently or gives my name out, I mean, because for you guys, as a realtor, the real way to do things is say, here's 2 or 3, 4, 5 we've worked with, and, sir, do your own research and pick the one that fits you best. To make that list every time shows me that an agent is really good and cares about their client. They care. For me to make that list, there's other agents that say we use this and this one only, and call them, and so be it. But the way with litigations are these days, to keep everybody just on the up and up, it's best to give 2 or 3 names and say call them and figure out which one you like.
Yep. And, we always do. We always give out.
I know you do. And you're good at what you do.
Because, in order to do it the right way, that's what we got to do. So.
Yes, sir.
we always have our experiences and whatnot that we can kind of tell about, but we always give out a couple names.
I know you do.
So Jake, thanks for hopping on here with us.
Yes,
I
sir.
appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
And if you're in the market to have a home inspection done, Jake is one of the best in all of the Wichita area and surrounding areas. Where all do you head out to? Like where's too?
Let's just make this easy. Newton is my north. I'll go to Newton. East, I'll go to El Dorado. I live in Andover, so an El Dorado trip's not that far for me. South, Mulvanish, and then if you wanted to head west, probably the Cheney area, Goddard, somewhere out that. I try to keep my area at about a 30 to 40 mile radius. Anything out there will do, but there is a trip charge that's added, and a lot of times that can put you to where, if they can find, and remember, I always try to clients number one in my eyes, and if they can find an inspector in Hutch that's $100 cheaper than me, and I know some, I'll call the guys in Hutch and say, hey, Ted is going to give you a call, and it just saves the buyer a little bit of money, and I think that's my integrity allows me to do that. So
Yep, I would agree with you.
all right, man.
Thanks for hopping on here with me.
Anytime, my friend. Have a good one.
You too.
Bye.